So Jon Stewart did a segment which, let's be honest, is near and dear to my heart. It goes after this ludicrous idea that the right-wingers love free speech. Of course, they've cloaked themselves in this for years. In Trump's first term, they would not shut the fuck up, saying that liberals and lefties and college kids with pink hair are the problem. They believe in censorship. They believe in deplatforming. They don't want to hear opposing views. How many podcasts have we heard where they have conversations about having conversations about, bro, we just like different viewpoints and to like battle it out. This is the battlefield of ideas, bro. The marketplace of ideas, bro. We are so many. Oh my God, I've heard so many of them, bro. I could not. I mean, that was like Rogan's podcast for 4 fucking years straight. Right? We have conversations about having conversations, bro. We debate, we disagree, we discuss, bro. We believe in free speech, bro. This is the whole fucking shtick, right? The second these assholes get any taste of power, it's censorship, deplatform, shut the fuck up, deport, kick you out of the country, don't disagree with me. Don't make a joke like Jasmine Crockett with Governor Hot Wheels talking about Greg Abbott. That's beyond the pale, right? Meanwhile, that's 1/10 as bad as the shit they say on a daily fucking basis. So anyway, Jon Stewart tackles this, and I love it. Let's dive into it.
Now, as we know, conservatives have been very concerned about the loss of free speech in our country for a very long time.
Bullies on the left aiming to silence conservatives.
Free speech is under siege in this country.
The leftists, they've become the thought police. They basically declare themselves God and judge us for our thoughts.
George Orwell was right. The thought police come next to punish thought crime. Be very, very scared.
I am. Perhaps not for the reasons you... Are the thought police with you right now, Janine? Are they in the bottle? But luckily, our national free speech nightmare recently came to an end when we entered the golden age of Donald Jehoshaphat Trump.
We have saved free speech in America, and we've saved it strongly. Free speech in America, it's back.
Thank God we have a president now who believes in free speech.
Yes. Thank God. We have a president now who believes in free speech. Just go ahead, roll to 12.
I believe that CNN and MSDNC, what they do is illegal. I think CBS should lose its license, but I think ABC should lose its license also because of what they've done.
I watched What Happened Live. I think Bravo should also lose their license. What they did to Dorinda on Traitors, they should be sent to a Salvadorian hell-hole. This is what I'm talking about. Generally, you've got to search the archives for contradictions on one's stated principles, dig through policy papers to uncover private actions that are undermined by someone's public stance. But this is so blatant. I can't wrap my head around it. It's not even the hypocrisy. It's that they so fetishize free speech, this thing that they do not in any way actually practice.
The freedom to speak our minds and express the truth that is our heart. Really, that's really a big chunk of our heart.
Any cardiologist will tell you, hearts come in chunks. Blood comes into the aorta to the right ventricle, passes through your speech chunk. But since coming into office, Trump and the Republicans have instituted policies that are a dagger right through many people's speech chunks.
The White House has barred the Associated Press from presidential events because the AP has refused to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America in its style book.
And in a dramatic escalation against the American legal system, Trump this weekend directed his government to target law firms battling his actions.
Federal immigration officials arrested a Palestinian activist who helped lead last year's student encampment protest at Columbia.
I think we ought to get them all out of the country. They're troublemakers. They're agitators. They don't love our country.
My chunks! My precious chunks, my lovely lady chunks. Not chunks, not chunks. My lovely lady chunks. You're making my perineum tingle. Here's the thing. These attacks on free speech, especially the one where they deported that activist, if there's one thing that I know about the powerful principles at our higher education institutions. They will not be bullied by a Roll 212.
Columbia University is bowing to President Trump's demands, announcing it will change a number of policies.
Among them, placing the school's Middle Eastern, South Asian, and African Studies department under academic receivership for at least 5 years.
Some students protested the war in Gaza. Suddenly, a whole academic department is on double secret probation with government oversight. And by the way, okay, Middle East part, African studies? What the did they do? So the African studies professor's like, I teach intermediate Swahili. See, these guys don't give a about free speech. They care about their speech. It's so blatant hypocrisy. It's so old school Daily Show gotcha. You know what? I'm just going to put on the wig I used to wear during those years. Because the hypocrisy is just so... Here's Donald Trump on those who would criticize judges that he has appointed.
A lot of the judges that I had, if you look at them, they take tremendous abuse, and it's truly interference, in my opinion, and it should be illegal, and it probably is illegal in some form.
Oh. Yes, criticizing judges. It is interference. It should be illegal. Tremendous abuse. And 4 days later, not 4 days later, not a full French work week later.
President Donald Trump just took to Truth Social and deemed this judge, responding to this decision here, calling him a radical left lunatic of a judge, a troublemaker and agitator who was sadly appointed by Barack Hussein Obama. He says this judge should be impeached.
I go back and forth, right? Like, are they just the biggest idiots in the world? Just complete and utter morons, basically have the memory and the attention span of a fucking mosquito, and they jump from one thing to the next and don't care about consistent principles? Or is it they're nefarious, they know what they're doing, and they don't care? They just plow ahead. And if I had to guess, I would say probably both, right? They're both incredibly nefarious and evil, and they know what they're doing, but also they're so stupid that they don't think that, like, other people will catch on to the rampant, brazen hypocrisy, right? But look, you also got to give them credit in this respect. They know how power works, right? When they're in the minority, they will scream and cry bloody murder and try everything under the sun to force Democrats to hold to some higher standard and principle, right? But then the second they're in power, they're like, we have no standards, we have no principles, we do what we want towards our ends, towards our goals. We'll get them come hell or high water. We don't care how we get there. So Republicans actually understand power better than Democrats do, better than liberals and leftists do. But I think what we're seeing in this moment right now is that Democrats, liberals, and leftists are waking up. And so now you see, in the past, if Jasmine Crockett made that Hot Wheels joke about Greg Abbott, I think it would have been across the board 100% condemnation, not only on the right, but the left, liberals, and Democrats would do it too. Now, I'm sure there's going to be some condemnation from some asshole idiot Democrats who are complete MAGA cucks and sellouts. But certainly among the base, what I'm seeing, the base is like, fuck yeah. Go get that sleazy motherfucker. Go get that asshole who's ruining people's lives on a daily basis. And so, look, Republicans want to fight on an uneven playing field. They want to rig it up front. And now I think Democrats have they reached their breaking point where they're like, no, there will be no uneven playing field. If you want to do the decorum and civility and respect thing, we'll do it. If you don't, which clearly you don't, then we're also not going to do it either. Go fuck yourself.
The hypocrisy. It burns. And are we really still doing the Barack Hussein Obama thing? Oh, free Harambe. Come on, people.
2007 called, man.
See, what was the whole thing that they hated about the left on free speech?
No one is safe from the left's word police.
No one. What exactly would an actual government-run word police organization look like?
The Trump administration is actively trying to purge the federal government of so-called woke initiatives. Government agencies have flagged hundreds of words to limit or avoid. Words like
they're literally doing loyalty tests too to be in the Trump administration. They're doing loyalty tests. That the whole idea is, if you think things I don't agree with, if you believe things I don't agree with, you can't even have a job. Tell me again who believes in free speech and who doesn't.
DEI, BIPOC, anti-racism, Latinx, Native American, Black, women. Seemingly random words like expression, at risk, political, and even mental health and sex.
That's left. BIPOC and Latinx, I get that. You're not allowed to say sex. You can't say words like women or sex or hashtag me too. How can a lot of your cabinet members describe their weekends? You know, you can't protest in a way that offends the right. You can't teach things that the right doesn't want you to teach. You can't read things that they don't want you to read. You can't use words that they don't want you to use, but they love free speech. I guess fear not. At least we'll always have art.
President Trump demanding a painting of him be removed because he finds it unflattering.
He's demanding they take it down because he believes this picture is unflattering, which really makes you think, do you think other pictures of you are flattering? At least in the painting, they blended the foundation into your hairline.
Bro, he's got a neck issue because that photo of himself that he likes, he like angles his head down so you don't see his flabby ass bloated neck gina. Here, watch again.
Which really makes you think.
So you see his neck in this picture, right? He doesn't like it. Watch the one he likes.
Do you think other pictures of you are...
See? Head forward, tilted forward, hiding his neck. It's just such a goofy thing to think about that this man is literally the most powerful man in the world. He's destroying due process, shredding the Constitution, starting imperialist wars, tanking the economy, and he's thinking about a portrait he doesn't like and demanding it gets taken down. Bro, how can you be nearly 80 years old and you're this fucking vain and self-obsessed? I'm 37. I'm past giving a fuck what I look like, right? This motherfucker's near 80 years old. It still probably takes him 40 minutes in the morning to do his hair. He had a scalp reduction to try to cover, whatever, the bald spots and shit. He still packs his face full of bronzer. It's just the qualities that this... I used to sort of mock the idea that leftists said, like, oh, Trump is... Or not leftists, excuse me, liberals more made this argument. Like, Trump doesn't have the characteristics of a good leader, the qualities of a good leader. Just basic things we were all taught that are good things. Like believing in equality and justice and being humble and working hard, like things of that nature. He doesn't have those qualities, so he can't be a good leader. Because I always thought, like, well, who really cares? If you're personally a repulsive person, but you fight for the right things, then who cares, right? But no, turns out they were right all along. That those very basic, like elementary school level qualities that you're taught that you should have and everybody should have, you should be humble, you should work hard, you shouldn't be self-obsessed, like all that stuff. Truly, that is part of the reason this man is a decrepit, deranged freak ruining everything about the country.
At least in the painting, they blended the foundation into your hairline. But painting is out. Oddly enough, there is still one area of free speech that the right defends non-hypocritically.
I think they've come a long way. Meta, Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg came to the White House, who I like much better now. I have a warm spot in my heart for TikTok. Twitter, now they call it X. And it's great that Elon bought that. He's done us all a big favor.
He loves it. Meta, X, the tickety-tock. Why is it that they're so enamored with social media?
Studies by the Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, and academic organizations have found that the site forced political content on users. That content was almost invariably pro-Trump, pro-Republican, and pro-Musk.
Huh.
Yeah, they rigged it. That was really the goal. When Elon was like, I'm going to save free speech, and that's why I'm buying Twitter. When he said that, what he really meant was, I am going to signal boost and rig the algorithm in favor of every right-wing charlatan, conman, and grifter in the country who's pro-Trump. And that's objectively what happened. Just the other day we learned, what was it? He had done it with India, but now he did it with Turkey, where the authoritarian government of India and the authoritarian government of Turkey were like, we want you to censor the protesters against our respective governments. And Elon was like, sir, yes, sir. And he immediately kicked off all these opposition groups to those governments. Why? Because he's a fascist. And these are fascist leaders. And he's like, I'm on the side of the fascists. I'm not on the side of the protesters. I'm not on the side of the anti-establishment people. I'm not on the side of change, people trying to make a better world. I'm on the side of the fascists. And that's to say nothing about the journalists who criticized Elon Musk who got kicked off Twitter. Nobody's more hostile to free speech than him. He just said the other day, I'm going to sue Jamal Bowman because Jamal Bowman went on CNN and called me an incompetent thief and a Nazi. Well, maybe if you don't want to be called a Nazi, don't do multiple Zig Heils. Maybe if you don't want to be called a Nazi, don't approvingly respond to countless Nazi accounts on Twitter and retweet them, which is what he does. Maybe don't espouse eugenic shit if you don't want to be called a Nazi. And if you don't want to be called an incompetent thief, stop taking $8 million a day from the federal government at the same time you're slashing Social Security and the anti-scam police.
The one area of free speech that they want to protect completely is the area that supports them and isn't actually free. Social media is algorithmic, and it advances with key demographics, or to put that in the most hilarious way possible.
The president sat down with Outkick's Clay Travis on Air Force One to discuss the status of his second term.
President Trump, getting to talk to you here on Air Force One. I wanted to start with this. Why do you think young men are so overwhelmingly coming in your direction?
My work here is done. Perhaps I can answer that question. They are overwhelmingly coming in his direction because that is the direction they're facing. I don't know if you know how that works, but you really can't come in a direction you're not facing. Although, young man at that age, you could bank a shot. I could see one fly over the shoulder. Maybe a trick shot where they landed in a cup. You know where that would go viral? Social media. The one place the right will unequivocally protect free speech is the one place where the speech isn't actually free. Algorithms, it's speech incentivized for engagement and profit. It's manipulated. It just so happens that the same process that forces you to doom scroll somehow also draws you into Republican ideology. Social media is a machine designed to stimulate the reptilian parts of your brain that would otherwise beg you to go outside. It's like being impressed that casinos give out free food. It's not free. Social media isn't the town square open forum of ideas. It's got a plan.
In the summer of 2019, Facebook created a fake account for a 41-year-old mom. They called her Carol Smith. Carol started off by liking a few popular conservative Facebook pages, but quickly, Facebook began dragging her down a rabbit hole of misinformation. After only 2 days, Facebook recommended Carol follow a QAnon page, and a few days later, it suggested she follow another. By week 3, Carol's feed had become, quote, a constant flow of misleading and polarizing content.
Now, Carol Smith is a completely fictional character, and yet her children have stopped talking to her. Although she was apparently added to a Pentagon group chat and knows the details about when they're bombing. Guys, social media isn't the same as free speech. Social media is free speech in the way that Doritos are food. It's ultra-processed. It's designed in laboratories. It's the same mechanism that somehow convinced you that you should eat a 50-story skyscraper of potato-ish. And the most disappointing thing, where are my conspiracy theorists at now that it's on the right? For God's sakes, billionaires are designing machines to manipulate our speech, to control our behavior, and rewire our brains.
That is such a good point. That's such a good point. They are indoctrinating people into a cult, which is not only a fascist death cult, but it advocates for a literal robber baron coup, where the world's richest man cuts Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid while taking $38 billion in government money for himself. This is the shit that Alex Jones used to warn about. This is the New World Order. They are manipulating your mind into believing that the world's richest man is great for you, great for the country, great for the world, and that he's actually making decisions that impact everybody positively, when it is literally the exact opposite. So the stuff Alex Jones used to warn about is happening He's just on the side of it now because he's trying to snuggle up to power and coddle Elon's balls and get on his good side. It's really fucking dark. Holy shit.
They're removing our regular speech and doing a, I don't know, great replacement of it to solidify their hold on power. Are you awake yet? Come on, you were with me on the lab leak thing. Remember what happened? Come on. You've barely even touched your Epstein binders. Doesn't this bother you at all?
Elon Musk has taken a very courageous stand for the First Amendment. He's tough as a pine knot, and the man's got guts. He's got oranges the size of beach balls.
Please stop with this foghorn leghorn bullshit. He's got oranges the size of beach balls. But let me guess. How do you feel about other billionaires owning and manipulating our media?
Mr. Soros is now the largest single shareholder in Odyssey radio stations. In America, you can't just go do this. Mr. Soros is a billionaire. Pass me the sick bucket. It's sitting right.
Pass us all the mother sick bucket.
Brilliant. And he's 100% right. Like, could you imagine we lived in a world where Kamala Harris was president and she invites George Soros to illegally hack into the back end of the Treasury, where he steals all of our data. Then he proceeds to dismantle government agencies he doesn't like that would regulate his ass, like the CFPB, the anti-scam police, firing flight safety officials as planes are crashing, firing the people who oversee our nuclear weapons, who are in charge of nuclear safety. Could you imagine if George Soros did every single thing, every fact the same, that Elon is doing, cutting off Social Security payments to people based on totally bogus narratives? If George Soros did this, the right would literally be hunting him down in the street with AR-15s. But Elon Musk does it, and they all fucking clap like seals. It's pathetic. It's embarrassing. Real anti-establishment politics are only on the left. You talk to any leftist, and they'll tell you, yeah, not only do I not want Elon Musk's $280 million buying our government, I also would stop George Soros. I would get big money out of politics completely. But on the Republican side, that's not what they think. We hate those billionaires. We love this billionaire. We love the world's richest man. Oh, God, it's so brilliant. And just to wrap it all up, and you guys have heard this spiel before, but I repeat it for a reason because I want all of you to know this so that you can tell people when this comes up in conversation that when they say they're pro-free speech, you say Trump and MAGA and Elon are literally the most anti-free speech movement in modern American history. And we know that based on what they've actually done. Trump sued Ann Selzer over a poll he didn't like. He sued CBS for how they edited a Kamala Harris interview. He sued Simon & Schuster, the book company, for a Bob Woodward book because it quoted him in a way he didn't like. He threatens to de-license news outlets that criticize him on a regular basis. He wants to punish flag burning with a year in jail. He sued CNN for $475 million because they called his election denialism the big lie. By the way, of course, he lost that case. He sued Bill Maher for $5 million over a joke. This was before he was president. He supports opening up the libel laws to sue journalists. He called for jailing journalists who reported on the Supreme Court abortion ruling. He's literally deporting pro-Palestine protesters right now. He gag-ordered the EPA from telling the truth on climate change. He arrested and charged 6 journalists for felony rioting when they did no such thing. He didn't pardon Assange. He didn't pardon Snowden. He didn't pardon Daniel Hale. These are all First Amendment heroes. He wanted to invoke the Insurrection Act to deploy U.S. troops against George Floyd protesters. And by the way, he may deploy the insurrection. He may, invoke the Insurrection Act very soon. And of course, he called to terminate all rules, regulations, and articles in the Constitution after he lost in 2020. There is no bigger threat to the Constitution. There is no bigger threat to the First Amendment and free speech and free protest than Donald Trump. And I didn't even touch Elon. Because Elon, like I said, there's a laundry list of shit he does that is deeply, deeply anti-free speech as he pretends like he's the most free speech. Jon Stewart is 100% on point. All right, y'all, that's the show. I love you very much. Thank you, as always, for listening. You know the drill, man. Please click like. Please click subscribe. If you do one thing, watching this channel, do me a favor and subscribe. That helps push the videos out through the algorithm and get more views and things of that nature. And of course, much love and appreciation to all of you who support this show on Patreon. Literally couldn't do it without you. This is real independent media. I've never had a conversation with an advertiser or a corporation or a billionaire or a government. You guys fund this show from the ground up. Could not do it without you. We're very proud of how we've built it here and how the funding model is very pure. So again, thank you very much, and I'll see all you guys back here tomorrow. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.